Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know I am your hostess with the mostest, Miss J, aka Miss Simone Jackson, here to bring you guys another wonderful episode of the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know out there, the J Lounge is where we talk with entertainers, actors, singers, filmmakers, you name it, all in the artistic and entertainment industry. They all end up here talking with us. And of course, you guys know I'm always excited to be bringing you guys my next guest. She is an award-winning producer, screenplay writer, and an award-winning actor as well. And she has graciously given us her time for this interview. And I'm super excited to be introducing you guys to the incredibly talented and amazing Miss Cynthia Crofoot. Hi, Cynthia.
Hello.
How are you?
I am fine. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, of course. It's an honor to have you on the show. I'm excited for my audience to learn about you and more about your work. So we appreciate you giving us your time being here with me today.
Oh, for sure.
All right. Well, Miss Cynthia, I'm going to go ahead and fire the first question at you. What began your passion for filmmaking and acting?
If you ask my dad, it came with me when I was born. I've been doing it since time began. It feels like when I was younger, when I was about 12 years old, I remember writing these short skits that I would make my friends put on for my parents. And they were just stupid little skits about Remembrance Day, or I did like a 50s sock hop one. And, the passion was always there for me to get into the arts as an entertainer, as a screenplay writer, as an actor for sure. And I didn't go to theater school though, or art school. So I am an actor, producer, screenplay writer with a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology. So,
wow, my goodness, look at you. I mean, what haven't you accomplished yet? I mean, I have to say, what haven't you accomplished yet? My goodness.
well, I have a list as long as my arm of what I still want to do. So there are some things.
Oh, I bet. Going on to the number two question, Cynthia, as a filmmaker and as an actress as well, what type of stories do you like to bring to the forefront, and what type of characters do you like to portray as an actress?
That's interesting because I started screenplay writing only, I'm going to say about 3.5 years ago. And I was approaching 50. So, I was hitting a milestone year, and I wanted to make my own movie. And I wanted to have characters that were strong. This was before Me Too and, the pushback in Hollywood about how women are portrayed. And I always knew I wanted to portray strong, independent characters like police officers, detectives, or stormtroopers. I always wanted,
Love it.
I thought I wanted to write a story for a role for me that had that type of character. And I had the idea in my head. I actually formulated the outline for the story with a director friend of mine, but I couldn't find anybody to write it. And I tried. And it was the universe telling me that I was supposed to write it myself. And so I started off by writing this feature-length screenplay called Bracewater, which has yet to be produced. And I thought, geez, that's weird. Like normally people start with short films and then they work their way to features, but I just jumped right in and did this feature film. And then I ended up writing a lot more short films. And so to answer your question, the screenplays that I write are, they do address sort of big topics. So the feature film addresses family and what you'll do to protect it or avenge a family member. My second screenplay, the first short that I wrote, Obdurate, was about regrets in your past. And, we all have those moments in our past that we want to change. And then the third one was about hiring practices now, as I see it, it's no longer if you're the best qualified or the most educated. It's all these other laundry list of items that you now need to check off as well. So the characters that I write within that story are strong women. All of my characters are fully rounded. I've been told. That's not me blowing my own horn. And then the thing that I'll say is common throughout all of my stories is that I'm a huge Stephen King fan.
Yes.
So the stories have a twist. All of them do at the end. So it will definitely tell one story, and then when you finish the movie, you'll go, hold up now, let me just think about that. Yeah. So I don't like telling a linear story, and I don't like telling a story that has flat characters. So they all have a twist, and they all have, I think, three-dimensional characters that address issues in the world, but in a fun way, because it is a movie.
Right. So you really highlighted some interesting points here, Miss Cynthia. For one, you're right. The landscaping of auditioning for a role has changed. You like you said, it used to be whether you were the best, person for the job, or based on this. But now it's kind of based on a little bit if you have enough followers, or since the social media age has taken over, it's definitely has changing this landscape of how auditions definitely does happen. And I think you're one of the few actresses actually that I've actually had on there that's actually touched on that subject, and I'm actually really appreciative that you have.
It's changed. I mean, there's so many factors now that need to be taken into consideration, not just as an actor, but I think in the arts generally, and in corporate America even as well. And it's some of it is necessary, I think, like making sure that BIPOC individuals are fairly represented in this industry. I think that's a huge shift, but it is now a box that needs to be checked. And the social media thing is I think it's a money-based consideration, which a production company has to take into consideration, right? So it gets to be complicated when, and it'll even out again. My theory on things like this is that the pendulum really has to swing so far to one side before it equals out, especially when there's such blatant injustices that have persisted throughout the industry. It just needs to equalize, and everybody deserves their time in the spotlight.
No, absolutely. I 100% agree to that. Everyone deserves a chance. Everyone deserves, a moment in the spotlight, and it just needs to be equalized. And I completely agree with that, 100%. Going on to the number 3 question, though, name 3 people who influenced your career and why.
Well, as a writer, Stephen King for sure. I'll say that. I didn't even know he had influenced my writing until, I always liked writing. So when I was in high school, I would even write short stories, and they all had the Stephen King flair to them, right? I just love that, crazy kind of things aren't really as they seem. And I think that his writing's actually gotten better as he's aged. It's gotten less crazy and more grounded in the possibilities of reality. So he's definitely, from a writing perspective. From an acting perspective, gosh, I get asked this all the time. I have so many great actors and actresses that I looked up to, that I loved, that I can't pinpoint just one. I can just say that I've loved movies since I was little, and I've always wanted to partake in that genre. So, but there's not one, there's just too many to name. I'm just going to put it that way. So, 3 people, I'm going to say Stephen King, then there's this whole big bucket of actors and actresses that are going to count as one person. And then, from from just a general filmmaking perspective, Ron Howard and Steven Spielberg and those kinds of people, to make people feel the way they do and to tell a story so eloquently, like Clint Eastwood. I love his stories because his are character based, right? And they're a slower moving story, but they get you. And my favorite moment, when now we can go back to theaters, but when you go into a movie theater and you sit down and the lights dim around you, and that first burst of light on the screen, and you're like, oh my God, where am I going right now? Like, where is this movie going to take me? And I love that feeling of being transported somewhere else and
Oh,
made to
yes.
feel.
Yes.
There's no better feeling in the world. So, that's not a person, but that moment is something that I've always wanted to be able to produce on my own, so that someone else somewhere sitting in a seat goes, wow, that was great. And then they leave the theater talking about it. Like, that to me is just an amazing power.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I have to agree, Stephen King is an amazing writer. I mean, I've read all the books, I've seen all his book turned films. I mean, there isn't anything of his that I won't, buy or see.
Amazing. Yeah, that's
he's
great.
he's I will say this in the best way possible. He's always in my pocket. Okay. Stephen King is always
Yes,
in my pocket. I always
love
have to
it.
have a budget somewhere with my Stephen King stuff. It's like, we got to figure out the budget for my Stephen King, because you just can't expect me to go without. It's just not going to happen. So
That's amazing. That's the first. I actually still have. I've been considering getting rid of them, but I have every book that I ever bought. And I don't think it's all of his books, quite honestly, but it's pretty darn close to it. And I'm like, well, do I really need to keep, my 1980 whatever version of what is, like, do I need to keep those? But that's amazing. I love it when I meet another Stephen King freak.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, it's Stephen King is just, I mean, my mom was a huge Stephen King fan, so I couldn't help but be a Stephen King fan. So
Nice.
um his work is just impeccable. I mean, that's all I can say. I mean, he's just like the cornerstone for my Halloween ritual. Honestly, he really is. He's the cornerstone. Like, if
Nice.
anything were to happen, I wouldn't know what to do for Halloween anymore. I would be lost. So honestly, I cherish those, because like I said, he was a huge, especially in my childhood. It's like, okay, so I got my Stephen King books, I got my Halloween Town movies, and I got my Halloween candy. What else do I need? So I'm ready. So that's where I was at.
That's awesome.
uh so going on to the number 4 question, what's been the best project you put out so far?
Oh, well, so your first is always your favorite, right? And so my first short film was called Obdurate. It's done very well in the festival circuit. It's won several awards.
Ooh.
And that one is my favorite because it was the first thing that I wrote that got produced and made. And the production crew that I had, from the director Jim Morrison IV, his DP Steve Lindsay, like everybody who was involved in that project came on board for basically food, and it just produced something that's way higher than the production value of what it actually cost. And it was neat to see some, I mean, I'm sure you must feel the same way about your first podcast, but that's my favorite is my first film. And then my second favorite would be, it's a short film that I just finished. It's actually going to be showing on the Super Channel on the 31st. It's called Promises. And it was like an experimental film that we did. I had done a webinar with this director friend of mine, Jim Morrison IV, on micro budget filmmaking. And one of the slides we had was, it's entirely possible to make a good short film for no money. And when we finished it, I thought, well, let's give it a go. Like, let's see what we can do. I said, what do you have free for location? And he said, I have a garage and I have a forest. So I wrote this little short. It's about, the gist of it is really falling in love and heartbreak, and how, there's really nothing you can do when your heart is shattered. But this one actually gives you an option in my creepy kind of way. So yeah, that's my second favorite, because we shot that whole one on an iPhone and squatted in a forest for 3 hours, and it turned out actually really good.
Oh wow. And look, that's not easy doing stuff on the iPhone, like filming and stuff like that. That's not easy. So
Mm-mm.
I applaud you on that. I really do, because I get frustrated just trying to do this stuff on my phone for my podcast. I mean, filming a whole short film, that takes patience, that takes dedication, and that takes talent. So um
Listen, it takes a great director and a great cinematographer, and a great we had my friend Angie who did the because there was blood. I've decided that there is a theme in my movies. All of them so far have had blood. Somewhere in them they've had some blood, and the fact that this came together so well has rests solely on their talents. I was just a vehicle.
Oh my goodness. Definitely we'll have to check out this short film. I love short films. Definitely been a huge short film uh, fanatic. I actually prefer them sometimes more over to movies, because especially acting wise, because of the
Mm,
short time that you have, you really got to really pour into as much into your character as possible to captivate the audience. So that's what I really like about it, um,
definitely.
for sure. Cynthia, I want to make sure, going on to the number 5 question, I want to make sure my audience follows you and your work. Where are you on social media?
Well, my website will link to my social media. So my website is Cynthia Crofoot. So Cynthia as in Frank, OOT as in Tom.com. There is no W in my last name. I have to say that because as soon as I say my last name, Crowfoot, it shows up. The W just shows up. And then you can link to Insta and Facebook and LinkedIn and my IMDb page, all through my website. And my website's kept pretty much up to date. It outlines everything that I've done and the awards that we've won, and I keep that pretty much up to date. So
Wonderful. And of course, I highly encourage my audience, make sure you go and go to the Cynthia Crowfoot website, and make sure you follow her on social media, and make sure you just support her work and all and her social media stuff as well. So make sure you guys do that.
yeah,
Uh,
and as soon as the films end their festival run, I will post them on my social or on my website. So right now I can't, because obviously they're still doing the festival circuit. But as soon as they're available, I will be posting them. So that's the best way to be able to see them, because either they're through the link to my it'll link right to my YouTube or my Vimeo.
Ooh, no, okay. Make sure you do that. I love film festivals and I love film festival news, so make sure you do that, because I love keeping up with that stuff. It's like,
Oh, sure.
yes, it's one of my favorite pastimes. So wonderful. All right, just got a couple more questions for you. Going on to the number 6 question. What future projects are you currently working on that you can dish about to the J Lounge audience?
I have, the saying in the industry is it's not what you've done, it's what you're about to do. So I have another short film. It's actually a romantic comedy. It's quite funny. It's about an older lady whose aunt has passed away, but is hesitant to actually leave the house. So her aunt is haunting her and keeps showing up at the most inopportune times, like when she's getting passionate with her boyfriend, or when she's brushing her teeth. So that's on deck. I have a short cop thriller type thing, but the big project that's near and dear to my heart is obviously what I touched on earlier, is Bracewater, which is the feature length film. It's a cop thriller about a female police officer whose life starts to unravel. Those who are closest to her either get put in danger or pass away, and it's about the decisions that she makes about what she's going to do to either avenge them or protect them. And
Ooh.
that one's actually it's been on the back burner for a while because, of course, the short films I can make for a smaller budget. The feature length film is a much larger budget than my pocketbook will allow. So what I decided was that I was going to do 3 short films, and luckily they've all been award winning, and that would form the foundation of my, I guess, my portfolio, if you will, so that when I finally decided to do Bracewater, the feature length film, I could prove to people that I wasn't a one trick pony and that I actually could produce, write and star in things that were award winning and that went on to win laurels. So the feature film is always in my back pocket. That will be, that'll be one of those moments when it gets made that I dance around crazy in my house with my cats, because that's kind of like the penultimate happiness that I can think of right now would be getting that made. But in the meantime, you just wake up and you put one foot in front of the other and you keep moving forward, and I keep writing and I keep applying for grants. And luckily I have a really solid network of individuals who love to tell stories as much as I do. And we keep working on stuff.
That is awesome. I have no doubt that you'll be able to get this feature film up and running. It definitely sounds very captivating. I like to see cop thrillers with, females in the role, because that's not as oftenly done as, as the males. It already sounds like a exciting film, but I have no doubt that you'll be able to get it up and running and out there for sure. So, no doubt.
Oh, good. I can use all that positive energy. Keep putting it out there, man.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt. No doubt. Nothing but positivity here. Absolutely. All righty. Got 4 more questions for you, Miss Cynthia. Going on to number
Sure.
7. What goals do you hope to accomplish in your filmmaking and acting career?
Oh, I'll tell you, the main goal for me is to be able to do this as a career. I mean, I think that everybody who gets into this industry, well, I guess not everybody. Let me put it this way. Stardom has never been a goal for me. Fortune has never been a goal for me. I want to be able to do this and make a living at it, because this is my happy place. This is what doesn't feel like work. That old saying that says, do what doesn't feel like work. I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of work that goes into it. And as I try to tell my parents, there's actually more work that goes into this than, would go into another career, because you have to just keep plugging away and you have to develop this thick skin that is able to withstand the rejections, right? Even when you're
Right.
producing something that you think is amazing, not everybody feels the same way. So, my future is to make my feature, as we said, do my happy dance.
Oh,
And
yes.
right. And then hopefully I'll be able to carve a little niche in this industry that allows me the honor of doing it as a career.
Oh,
It's that's it sounds like a really easy ask, but it's huge. I don't know, are you in the entertainment industry? Are you an actor or a
So, I do my podcast, celebrity. I would like for my
yeah,
podcast to be, for sure one day do this as a career.
yeah,
So I definitely get you on it. I definitely understand you there. Like, yes, absolutely. I would love to turn my podcast into a career. I would love to turn it into a show for sure.
yeah,
Whether
yeah.
it be on Hulu or, YouTube, maybe like a web series. So I do understand exactly where you're coming from. So,
Yeah, so you get it.
oh
It's those
yes.
creative endeavors that, that you're so passionate about, um, that sometimes seem really elusive, right? It's hard to maintain the dream of actually achieving it when every day it doesn't feel like you're actually getting any closer. But I actually, I'm I'm actually really good this way. I'm very positive, and I can see from when I turned 50, so now I'm 54, I'm aging myself, and I don't mind it. I think that I'm achieving more in the profession that I've wanted to make advancements in now
Mhm.
that I'm over 50 than I did when I was younger. And I think that that has to do with tenacity and perseverance and a little bit of, who gives a F? Because
Right.
once you hit a certain age, you're kind of like, well, either you do it now or you don't, right?
Right.
And for me, the only way is to wake up and say, I am so much further ahead today than I was 4 years ago. I've in the last 3 years, I've produced and written and starred in 3 short films that have won awards and gone to festivals, and I have, 5 other short scripts on deck that I'm ready to film at the drop of a hat, and I have my feature. So, I feel like I am destined to continue to move forward, and that one day I will actually make that a reality of having this as my job.
Oh my goodness. You're giving me chills because I feel the exact same way. Like we are kindred spirits right here. Like I get it. Like I
It's
get it.
great that, right?
I don't know how many times I've given up on this podcast. I have. I will be honest with everybody here. I've given up on it so many times, but I can never get rid of that annoying little voice that says, you know that that is your career right there. You
Hmm.
know that that is what you're destined to do. And you're right. I have to think of it as I am so much more closer than I was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, even 2 years
Hmm.
ago. Um, I feel like I'm in the cusp. I'm so close. I can taste the glory, and you just can't stop when you can actually taste the glory. You just can't stop. You have to continue to go on.
Well, what's that saying, is the only way to fail is to stop. Like the
Yes.
and the only way that life can keep you down is to stay down. So, like you, every day you wake up and you say, what can I do today? What small thing can I do today to help advance where I'm going? And I mean, the great thing about this and what you just said about, being further 4 years, it's not all positive, right? Like there are setbacks, but every
Oh,
setback
absolutely.
is a learning experience to help you grow towards the next step, which I think those moments are actually more valuable than, if you had a 4 year of nothing but positive steps forward. Those little moments where you kind of get knocked on your butt, you say, all right, so what do I learn from this? I'm going to get back up and I'm going to, make my next step forward, and I'm going to take that learning with me, and it makes me stronger. So I like to hear that you're going to keep moving forward, because that's really the only way. And if you truly are passionate about what you're doing, then you're going to keep doing it anyway. Like I've done community theater since I was, I don't know, 19, and you don't get paid for that, but I do it because I love it. So, you make a choice every morning, and it's like, am I going to continue doing what I love because I love it, or am I going to stop? And I have this neat little story. When I left, I was working a corporate job, and they downsized me. And when they downsized me, I thought, well, this is a great opportunity for me to make some advancements in my entertainment career. And I would walk around the office knowing that I was going to be gone in 2 weeks. And it afforded me this clarity, and I could see the deadness in everybody's eyes in that office. Now, not everybody, because some people are built for office work, but I thought, oh my God, that was me. And I have now this opportunity to keep that passion growing. So, what I say is, everybody kind of needs a day job to pay things until you make it to the point where you don't. And so you have to make sure that you keep, and I'm saying this to you because you touched on this, make sure you keep that creative flame, that fire, that passion burning loud enough that you continue to do it as you live your life, because that is what defines people who make it, I think.
I think that's so freaking true. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that is so true. So
Mhm.
true. Like I said, kindred spirits. I am completely right there with you. 100%. 100%.
Awesome.
Ah, oh gosh, I love that. All right, Miss Cynthia, I just got a couple more questions for you. Just going on to number 3. I hate to do this for you because I know you could had a struggle answering it on the number 3. But if you name 3 actors you love to work with and why. Yeah, I told you. I told you I'm doing this to you again.
All right. Well, let me, God, there's so many actors I would love to work with.
I
Um, this is an impossible question. So
know.
I can't even answer it because, I have like 700 names going through my head right now. But so let's say, this is going to sound really weird. This wasn't even one of the people that I was like, who inspired me or anything, but I would love to work opposite Liam Neeson. I just because, and I don't even know why, but I think that he would
Liam
be
Neeson.
someone who, I just think that he seems like a nice, genuine, grounded person who would be nice to work with on set. So
for sure.
I would think that my first big acting thing, I would want to work opposite someone who was going to be kind to me as I was nervous as all get out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many talented individuals that I mean, Meryl Streep, because she's Meryl Streep.
Right. I was gonna say it's Meryl Streep. That's it.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
And I can't remember her name. That's why I'm hesitating here. There's just like Gary Oldman. I know I'm dating myself with some of these older actors. I love him. I love how he morphs into something.
I love Gary Oldman.
I'm terrible with names. The dude that played Batman and
Oh, are you?
310 to Yuma and
So we're okay.
you know what
Oh
I mean?
my God, Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. Yes.
Love
Christian
him.
Bale, because he just I love. So the whole point is, I guess the roundabout way to answer this, make me sound better than I did right there, okay? The roundabout way to answer this is I want to work with people that I can learn from. I always think that, and who are going to be kind to you on set as you like come in knowing your stuff, right? Like, first of all, that's at the end of the day, go in knowing your stuff. But once you're there, like I've heard so many stories of dick actors who just, mess up the people who come on set who are less than them. So I mean, I said Liam Neeson because I think that it would be an honor to work opposite him, but I also think that he'd be someone who you could learn from, but who would also be nice to you. I remember hearing a story too about Dustin Hoffman, and he was doing a scene with, I think it was John Travolta actually, and it was like a highly emotional scene, and I guess John Travolta was having a hard time getting into character, and Dustin Hoffman just sat down next to him. It was between takes, and he just started whispering in his ear, like getting him to the place that he needed to be for this next scene. Like, to me, that's first of all above and beyond, because I don't know that a lot of actors are like that, but yeah.
Technically, you did say 3. You did say 3. Liam Neeson.
Did I?
Christian Bale.
Yeah.
And then you said Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman, yeah. Because you know why Gary Oldman? Because he was Dracula, and come on, I love Dracula.
It's Gary Oldman. Like I said, I love Gary Oldman. It's Gary Oldman. I mean, he's proven that there isn't a character he can't play. His work speaks for itself, just like Meryl Streep's work speaks for herself. We didn't have to say much. Her work speaks for itself. There isn't a character she can't play.
And I think the common theme. So if I go Christian Bale and Meryl Streep and Gary Oldman, if you look at those 3 individuals, nothing against you, Liam Neeson, they're individuals who morph into a character. Like, they embody the character as a being, like with a full internal life and all of that, but they do it so well with also adopting external mannerisms that there are times when I'll watch them and I'll go, there's no way that's the same actor. And it just blows my mind because it's not something that all actors can do. We all want to, but we all can't do it. And they do it
Right.
so effortlessly and so brilliantly. And the Joker, whoever played the Joker, he does that as well. I think Joaquin Phoenix, he's brilliant as well. So
Yeah. That is a good collective group of actors wanting to.
mostly men, right? How
Yeah.
come? I wonder why. Oh,
I
and
wonder why.
Jessica Chastain. I was trying to remember her name. I think she's brilliant. So there you go. There's another female for
Oh,
you.
yep, and she might win the big golden dude. She might win the Oscar. So we'll
She's
see.
brilliant.
Yeah,
She's
she is
brilliant.
brilliant. She is a
And
really great.
and she had here's the thing for any actors who are listening. She had this moment where she was talking and she was like, I was doing this character. This is the one you're talking about, this last film that she did. And she says, I sit there and I think there's no way I can do this. I'm no good at acting. And I thought, wow, she thinks that. So every actor thinks that. And it was a
Yeah,
kind of a light bulb moment for me.
it has to be. If someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is, wow, that's jaw dropping. That is. That is. All right. So we just got two more questions for you, Miss Cynthia, going on to number 9. What are some of your passions outside of filmmaking and acting?
I sew. I've sewn curtains, I've sewn pants, jackets, skirts, dresses. I'm a sewer because my mom sewed and my grandmother sewed. We've already established that I'm a huge Stephen King fan.
Oh, absolutely. Right here too.
So yeah, I like reading, which I don't know, is that classified as a hobby? I like to do that. And I also do cross stitch, which is kind of like needle points. So, and kind of
Ah,
crafty kind of things. And they're all, if you notice, they're all kind of creative outlets. So sewing, and it's all about creating something from nothing.
oh,
And everything that I do, except for the reading thing. And the reading thing is just, I think, to get my brain to shut off for
I
a little
totally get
while,
it. I totally
right?
get it. I'm a huge, huge reader. Always have been, always will be. My dream is to build a mini library inside my own home. So
Nice.
that's the goal. Yeah, that's the goal. I want to complete it with plush chairs, nice wooden desks. Oh, yes, I'm getting all fancy with it with my personal library. It's going to be my own personal heaven. I may not leave. We'll see, but that's
Nothing
completely.
wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Listen, you can do everything electronically now. There's no reason to leave.
Exactly. No one actually has to see me in person. This is why
Exactly.
we have electronics for.
Right. And you can get all your food delivered and
Exactly. I don't have to leave my place. I don't have to leave it at all. No. All right, Miss Cynthia, going on to the last question for you. What's been some of the most rewarding moments of your career?
well, making the first film was definitely a huge rewarding. And it's funny, completing the feature script. When I wrote that last page, I literally jumped up and down and I was like, oh my God, I did it. Because so many people say they're going to do that and don't finish it. And I I don't know if I actually expected me to finish it or not, because I'd never written a screenplay before, but I did it, and it was a terrible first draft, but it was completed. So yeah, that was a huge moment for me. Um, so those two would be the most important, would be completing that feature length script and then having it win awards. That was huge, because then that's kind of like external validation of what you've done. And then having, producing and writing and starring in my first short film, Obdurate, was was an amazing experience. And it's actually kind of cool because I had a friend, and I hope everybody has people like this in their lives. When we were doing that first short film, she knew that it was the first thing I had done. And she pulled me aside and said, "Stop, look around." She says, "You've brought these people together. This is your film set. This is your film. Make sure you take a moment to recognize that." And I've kind of carried that bit of wisdom with me for a lot of things that I do, because, I think that as people, I know as I do for sure, I'll complete something and I'll either think, okay, what's next? Or I'll think, if I did it, anybody could do it. So it's not that special. But I think we really need to become better, or at least I need to become better, and I'm working on it, at stopping and saying, this is what you did. Like, so I'll journal and then I make myself write down what I've accomplished. And when you start writing down everything that you've accomplished, there's the big things, like I said, completing the feature length script and completing my first play. But the smaller things are also as important. Like, if you made a network connection, that's a huge thing, and you should pat yourself on the back for doing that. Or, like, I just think that I specifically, but people in general, need to become better at patting themselves on the back and not thinking that that's being conceited, rather than just always thinking that what they've done isn't special, because a lot of the time what we do complete is hugely special. So that's another long answer to your very simple question. But the two things would be finishing my feature length script, and having it going on to win awards, and then producing, acting, and writing that first short film and having it go on to win awards. Those were stellar moments.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Those are incredible moments that, like I said, like you just said, it's validating to have your short film win awards, be nominated for awards. And to be able to act and produce all that kind of stuff, that is awesome. And I cannot wait to see more of what you do, what you accomplish, more of your work. And I just see just huge things in your future for sure.
I hope you're right.
Oh yeah, I do. Look, there is no such thing as a time limit. There is no time limit. I see huge things coming for you in 2022 for sure.
Woohoo! Yeah, me too.
Miss Cynthia, you have been an absolute pleasure to be able to speak with today. I'm really appreciative that you came on here to talk about your work, to really talk about your story, and to really get to know my audience and myself. And we just appreciate you giving us your time today.
Well, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. It was the time went by really quickly. You're an easy person to talk to, so it was very
Oh, thank
enjoyable for me.
you. Thank you. That's the type of vibe that we want here on the Jane Lounge. So I'm glad that came across. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Of course, you guys know this has been the J Lounge. Of course, I want to give one more amazing thank you to Cynthia Crofoot, everyone, award-winning actress, producer. Make sure you guys go out and check out her work and check out her website as well. And just keep supporting her so we can see more of her amazing work. So make sure you guys do that. But I do want to thank everyone for listening in, joining in. Of course, you guys know I am your hostess with the mostest, Miss J, aka Miss Simone Jackson. I will be back with another great episode of the J Lounge. Till then, I hope everyone has a safe evening. Thank you for listening in, and I'll be back soon. Bye.